Ante kati gundi badde njagala ki? Ate taito ngireke. Taito ngireke. Yeah. Sharing on different pages. Okay. Kati eno mba nsobola okujja at any time because I want to share later, so I can come back anytime to share it. Even if I don't do it now, I can come back later. So I can share it later as now. Okay. Okay. Save it. All right, then recording in. Okay, then panelists. Everyone. Okay. At a recording. live nyamala kundi recording get recording one it's fully automatically
Hello, good morning. Are you the moderator? I cannot hear. There's no sound.
Can you hear me?
Yes, so you must be the moderator?
Yes, I'm Timothy, yes.
Okay, Timothy, now I hear you. My sound was off apparently, and
Okay, okay.
I'm the ambassador. Nice to meet you. Just one remark before we start, before everybody is online. I will have to leave at 12:30 sharp because I have another event. So also you put me in for talking about opportunities for local tour operators in.
Okay. Yes, it's very fine. Yes, it's very fine.
Outside. So can you still hear me?
I say it's very fine. It's very fine. Thank you.
Planned to do an intervention specifically in that field where you have put on the agenda. The topic, where is it? It is in one of the last time slots. So I probably not be able to be of help with that point at the end of the program.
Okay, okay, okay.
You know what I mean? The one I'm supposed to talk about Ugandan tour operators exploring options outside the country. That part.
Yes,
That
yes.
is not something I think that can be useful. So opportunities for local tour operators abroad. That's how it's called. So in that specific point, I will have to desist because I'm not a business operator. I'm not a tourist guy. I'm a diplomat.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay. Well, basically, I think in regard to that question, I was looking at more of like, for example, what avenues are there for tour operators? For example, in Belgium, for example, we have ITB in Berlin. So we were looking at such opportunities for the local tour operators.
Yeah, yeah, but I think this is a worthy debate, but not for me because I'm not an expert in that at all. So my contribution to that part of the debate will not be useful. So this is more for you among tour actors to discuss it. So maybe you can introduce that point yourself or something. I don't know. And also, I would have preferred that to be asked beforehand, before you put it on the program, which you send me in the morning only. See, that's where I have this question. You asked me for a keynote, that's fine, but then you asked me also to do other things which you haven't asked me before. So you should ask people beforehand. I just with the UTP director. We were there with a number of ambassadors, very good meeting, and she is going to have also. She didn't know who is going to speak for UTP. Did you have a confirmation?
No, UTB, they said they were not going to be able to speak. So in regard to
And not be able. Okay, so they desisted.
this is
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
All right. So maybe I think
Now we have three. There's also a lady, the Jennifer Akiki
yeah,
Asimwa.
Jennifer Kiki. Yes,
She's
that's
from your office?
no. She's a journalist from Uganda Broadcasting Corporation.
But I'll let you go there. I'll let you do the more people are joining, so I'll let you do the moderator.
All right. Mm, yeah. So I think everyone has come on board. So maybe I'll begin by just a brief introduction. I'll make a few remarks, then we shall pick it from there. So let me just. All right. Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Timothy Chen. I'm a tour operator. I work with a company called Tiayo Tours and Travel, based in Kampala here. The main reason for this webinar is basically to discuss a few issues of how we tour operators can get back in business. you'll notice that ever since the COVID uh, pandemic broke out, most of us, the tour operators, have been left redundant. So we need to find ways of how to get back into business. So I thought maybe why not have a discussion with a few stakeholders on board, and then we see what means we can devise to get back on board. I invited quite a number of panelists, some from the government, some from the tour operator, some from the hoteliers, and however, some did not commit to attend the webinar for various reasons. However, I still feel that even if we are very few, we can still attend the webinar. So in that respect, my inviting your Excellency, I read an article there's a time I read an article you wrote in the Daily Monitor, and I was very impressed by how keen you own our tourism industry. I thought maybe you'd just give us maybe just a keynote address to just kickstart the address really. So maybe before we go ahead, I'll let everyone else introduce themselves, and then I'll give it over to the moderator. Thank you very much.
So you want me to introduce myself first? That's a good idea. I'm Rudy Veestraten. I'm the ambassador of Belgium in Uganda and in South Sudan. I arrived here about a year ago. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. There may be Mr. Paul.
Good morning. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Masembe. I'm a tour operator from Shalom Royal. I'm glad to be part of this discussion.
Thank you. Then I'll go to Mr. Kenneth.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Kenneth Havashimana. I'm a tour operator at Kennedy Tours and Travel. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kenneth. I'll go over to Midred.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear Midred.
Good morning, my name is Mildred. Nice to be here.
All right, thank you. I think maybe our host, Jennifer, our moderator. Ooh, Jennifer, I think she's having a poor connection. I don't know if you can hear us, Jennifer. All right, maybe as she connects, maybe I don't know if there's Priscilla. I don't know if Priscilla is online.
Yes, someone online.
Yes, Priscilla.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, Priscilla. You could introduce yourself and then we move over to the next item. Oh. Well, I think we're having connection issues. So maybe to start as start of our webinar as we wait for other panelists to come on board. Maybe Priscilla is here. Yes, Priscilla. Priscilla, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes, Priscilla. Yes, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, I had lost the connection. So I was saying I'm Priscilla Butajira. I'm a marketing tourism consultant. I basically do marketing and product development for properties and even tour companies. Currently doing that for Mbwera Farm Lodge in Mbara. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
All right, thank you very much. So, I don't know, Jennifer, can you hear us now?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Jennifer, so maybe you could take over then we can begin. I think everyone has a copy of our agenda.
Okay, thank you so much, members, for honoring the invitation to participate in this webinar. I'm Jennifer Asimwakiki, and I'm a journalist at Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. You're very welcome, more especially His Excellency Rudy. You're so welcome. So, first of all, I would like to thank you. Thank you for honoring us and accepting to take part in this webinar. As per our agenda, I think some of us have already introduced ourselves. If at all you've just joined in, I can give you the opportunity to introduce yourself now, and then we go on with the agenda. Is there any person who has not introduced him or herself as we proceed? Because I was disturbed by network.
No, I think we can proceed, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Timothy. As per our agenda, after the introduction, we'd like to have a word from our host, Timothy Ochen. Maybe you can give us a word before we start officially, like in 3 or 4 minutes as we proceed.
All right, right. Thank you, Jennifer. Now, just like in the beginning, I mentioned, we as cooperators, we have been hardly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, really. Most of us haven't yet had any business in the past 3-4 months. So I thought that we would come together as operators, and then we find practical means of really how to get back into business. I decided to invite a number of key stakeholders. I was looking at with the tour operators, the hoteliers, the media, and everyone. So I really want us to have a thorough discussion, really, of how we can get back on board. It's unfortunate that the other key stakeholders, especially the government, will not be able to be part of this webinar today. I had invited someone from UTB. However, they told me that they are still having some preparations on board so that they can come up with conclusive statements regarding how we move forward as the tourism industry. Just briefly, I decided to invite His Excellency because I think he's very passionate about tourism in Uganda. I mentioned that I read an article he wrote in the Daily Monitor in June this year, and he raised a lot of issues that I feel that were really very, very key to us. For example, you could find that tourism, we employ about 670,000 people. So right now we have almost about 700,000 people are not employed right now. So I want us to really to look at the practical ways of really how to get back on board as the tour operators. So with those few remarks, I would like to hand over back to you, moderator, and then we continue the discussion. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Timothy, for that brief and straightforward remarks you've given us as of now. I thank you once again for inviting us, the media, because we write about these things, and you're not only the people that have been affected by the outbreak of this COVID-19, but also us and other people who have been indirectly benefiting from this kind of business. As per our agenda, I would like to ask His Excellency Rudy, the Ambassador of Belgium in Uganda, to give us his remarks in this webinar as the keynote speaker. His Excellency, you're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm going to take a very modest attitude here in this debate because I'm only a diplomat, I'm only an ambassador. I'm not an actor in tourism. So I know much less than all of you about what are the real challenges of the business. I see this only from my perspective as an ambassador, and talking to some people all the time, actually talking to many people. I try to talk with as many people as I could, and so this is another good opportunity for me to learn about the challenges you face. Some of these challenges are evident, but some are maybe not so evident, and we have to try to really identify all the difficulties and all the obstacles we find for the tourism sector in order to find solutions for these problems and ways to take out these obstacles. So I've been here in this country since almost 1 year. I arrived last year in July. So that's going to be the first anniversary of my stay here in Uganda. And I'm still very happy. You know, I visited 7 out of the 10 national parks in this year, even with Corona. I try to get a good feeling of what are the real assets of this country. Why would people want to come here? What do people in Europe know about Uganda, and what do they not know? This introduction will be, I think, 3 parts. First, a bit still to remember all of us the importance of the sector. I think that's one thing I need to do in brief. Second is to see what the assets of this country are and how this can be better branded. And then third, maybe to see what, as a diplomat, what we can do. I say again, it's modest. We cannot do much. We don't operate lodges. We don't bring people around. We don't have groups coming to the parks. But we still have some means to help bring the debate to the foreground. First of all, what is the importance of the tourism sector in this country? I think it is very often underestimated. This sector is much more important to the national economy than many people naturally assume. First of all, there are so many people working in the tourism sector. You might have seen that OPED, that comment I published in the Daily Monitor about a month ago, where I published some views. You have certainly, Timothy, and I'm sure Jennifer has read that also. It must still be somewhere available online, but I put some numbers in there. So there's almost 700,000 people working directly in the tourism sector, and many more indirectly. This is the sector of tourism. Last year, it brought $1.6 billion to the country. Which is how much? That must be like 6 trillion Ugandan shilling. It is an enormous amount. It is about more than 7.7% of the GDP. But even more important, 7.7% of the GDP, it brings relatively more taxes to the government to develop all the rest, infrastructure, education, health, security, because it brings 12% of the tax revenues of this country. That is because much of what happens in the tourism sector is a formal activity, is the formal sector. It is really visible. It's hard not to pay taxes when you are operating a lodge, or when you are operating an airline, bringing in people on an airplane, or when you are bringing touring people around the country in tourist vans. So it is very visible. So the tourist sector pays much more taxes compared to its productivity of the country, and 7.7%. 7.7% and 12% taxes. So that is some of the numbers. There was an increase year after year after year. The number of tourists coming to the country, 1.5 million, I think, last time we counted in 2018. And then Corona came. And all of a sudden, this whole sector went from 100 to 0 in 1 week. I was in Lake Mburo the weekend just when everything locked down. I think, the last, with my wife together, we were there for a weekend. I think we were the last to leave Lake Mburo National Park. Everything behind us, they shut down, they closed the barrier of the park, and of all the parks, everything was shut down. And it has totally been locked down for months. And now it's slowly reopening, you know, for domestic tourism, still not for international tourism. So this sector is really key to the economic development of the country. The numbers speak for itself. Second, what are the challenges? What are the difficulties, and what are the things people know about Uganda when they come here? Well, many people do not know so much about Uganda as a tourism destination. When I go back to Belgium, people talk about other countries, Kenya, Tanzania, sometimes Rwanda, neighboring countries, they are known for tourism. Now, Uganda is not so much known for tourism because there needs to be done more effort to brand it better. And you might have seen we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter account at the Embassy of Belgium. The last 2 days we have published some data on how well this country has been combating COVID, Corona. This is an exceptional country. You don't believe your eyes when you compare the numbers in Uganda with the numbers in all over the continent and even in the world, in the whole world. You know that today there are only 3 African countries with no single corona-related death. One of them is Uganda. The 2 other are Eritrea and the Seychelles. Now, Eritrea, I don't know exactly, but population is 3 million or something. Seychelles population is even less. And Uganda has 43 million. So it is almost unbelievable that in this country has put down such a good result. And yet, the only people who talk about that are Ugandans among themselves. This is not a known fact in the world. So the government and the tourist sector, we should all do a better effort to make this known, to talk about all these good things in this country. We have done that at the Embassy Facebook, at the Embassy Twitter account. We have published a kind of 4 slides. We designed ourselves because there is nothing available in Uganda at the moment. We designed those slides ourselves. We found out the context. We made a nice design with the colors of Uganda, and we published that. And so all of you are free to use that. If you see it on our Facebook page, just copy it and use it. It's free of any rights because I made it. So it's for you to use. So if we all of the actors do a better effort to brand the country better outside Uganda, I think that can make a huge difference. It can help to give Uganda this positive image it deserves. There are, of course, many challenges in conservation. I don't have to tell you, you are in the sector, you know very well. Murchison Falls, the roads, Murchison Falls, the project to have that Uhuru Dam, hydropower dam. It's still a project only in the feasibility study. But if that ever happens, this will very heavily damage the image of the country in Europe and in the world. There are other things, forests disappearing gradually or all of a sudden to make way for other things, agriculture, I don't know. So old forests which have been there for hundreds of millions of years, so they should be preserved. There is a huge need for conservation. Poaching, again, I don't have to tell you, you know much better than I do what the risks are for the sector. The risks are for populations to disappear. Uganda has done some great work in the past 30, 40 years in conservation. You know, the rhinos are back in Ziwa Sanctuary. They're now ready to be brought maybe outside of the sanctuary, to be brought to other national parks to spread a bit around. The gorillas, the population has increased from, I think it was around 300 to now about 1,000. The population of elephants has increased tremendously over the past years, but we're not there yet. It's still early day, and there is still a lot of threats. Diseases, natural death of animals is always a risk, but then on top of that, you have the risk of poaching, of people who deliberately go after live animals. for whatever reason there is, for trades in tusks or whatever, or just to have food for themselves. So this is really a threat to the life. It's not only about animals, as I said, it's also about the park as a whole, the nature. Uhuru Dam, if that would happen, it would damage the whole park of Murchison Falls. And like this road, this huge road in the middle of the park has already damaged. It's too late for that road, it's there. It has damaged a lot of the conservation efforts. So there are many things we need to look into, work together with UA, work together with UTB for the branding, work together with the Ministry of Tourism and with the Minister of Tourism. So, and then I get to my third point, and I will conclude with that. We as ambassadors of the European Union, we really try to engage with Ugandan competent authorities, people involved, private sector, with everybody who is concerned about the future of tourism. I was present in a session of the Parliament of Uganda. There was this tourism forum created not so long ago by some of the members of Parliament, and I think you probably noticed that as well. One of my partners in doing that is an MP, Richard Gafabusa Bugumuza, who is from the West, from I think he's from Kasese area, certainly the West. And so he created that parliamentary forum on tourism. So I worked with him. The op-ed, I wrote it together with him. Yesterday, we had a meeting, my second meeting with the Minister for Tourism. The day before that, we had a meeting with Sam Wanda, the executive director of UA. And just now, before this meeting, I was at UTB to talk with the whole staff of UTB together with my European colleagues. And we had a great meeting on how to better brand Uganda worldwide as a top tourism destination. As the Pearl of Africa, it has always been. So more than that, we are spending 5 days next week to visit National Park of Queen Elizabeth in the west, Ishasha, and then the northern side, the Gazinga Channel side of the lake, with Lake Edward and then Lake George. We'll spend our nights in some of the lodges there, and we will meet with many people. You know, the European Union, we have financed a building for rangers, an important building, which is located in the Ishasha sector, in the Edward Flats, and we will commission that building. And that building will be a symbol for many things. It will be a training center for rangers. It will be in a remote part of the park. You know, that park, Edward Flats, that is where that American lady was kidnapped. I think it was about more than a year ago. And she was rescued afterwards. She came out healthily, but she was kidnapped in that part because it is remote and there's nobody around there. So now we put up a new building for the rangers, so they will be present. They will be permanently based in that part of the park. And also this will be a training center for the Ugandan rangers, or the UBA rangers, and together with the rangers from DRC, on the Virunga National Park. So they will have common trainings in that center. So it is also a symbol of cross-border cooperation in preserving the wildlife, preserving the beautiful parks we have there, because that area, Virunga, together with Queen Elizabeth, together with Simuliki, together with some of the other, with Windy Forests, that's an enormous area. It is probably the most important conservation area in the whole of Africa, because in fact, across the border with Rwanda also, it forms one big region where better cooperation can secure the conservation and can make sure that this is there for many, many years to stay. So we're doing this visit next week, starting on Wednesday and Thursday, together with the Minister of Tourism, who will also come there, together with the director of UA, who will also be physically present, and all the staff. And so we looking forward to using that week, that 5 days, to really bring the case of tourism to the fore and to explain how we see, where we see the challenges and where we see that things could be improved. We have a long list of more practical things I'm not going to mention here in this keynote address, but I think this is how we want to do it. Because, and I want to stress it again as final conclusion, this sector is really key to the economy of this country. I told many people already in government that Ugandan tourism is part of the real economy. It brings in real cash. It gives real jobs to people. It puts real money in the coffers of the government, in the Ministry of Finance, because it brings a lot of taxes, proportionally more taxes than the pure activities, as I said at the beginning, because it is most of all is a formal sector, so it is formally known. They pay taxes, it comes to the government, and it helps the government to develop the rest of its policies, as I said, security, infrastructure, health, education, everything. So do not underestimate, I mean, you don't do that, but let's make that plea that nobody should underestimate the importance of tourism and the importance of putting tourism back on its feet now, not next month, not in 3 months, not in the year 2021, but now, this month of July, as soon as we can, and let's do everything we can to make that happen. Thank you.
Yes. Hello. Jennifer, can you hear me? Okay. Well, I think our moderator, her network is a bit disturbing her. So maybe I'll be helping her. Your Excellency, thank you very much for the thorough presentation. I think we have all learned a few things or two. So maybe later on, I'll have a few feedback from some of the members regarding your presentation. So maybe just the next item on the agenda. We had wanted to discuss briefly about the SOPs that have been put in place by the Minister of Health in line with, together with the Minister of Health. So I'll give a chance to Dr. Kibwa from KCCA, maybe just to give us an idea of what these guidelines are, and then what we should expect as to operators. Douglas? Douglas, I don't know if you heard me.
I didn't hear you very well, Timothy.
Yes. I was saying that we had wanted now, because the next item on the agenda, we wanted to get your perspective on how better to deal with the SOPs that have been set in place by the Minister of Health, and then basically how we can operationalize them as to operators. I don't know if everyone has got a chance to look at the SOPs. They're available on the UTB website. So maybe you could just give us just a little bit of idea of how we can work with these SOPs as we try to move post-COVID now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Timothy, and all the panelists. I am indeed very privileged to be on this forum and have this discussion with you. As already mentioned, my name is Dr. Akibwa Douglas with KCCA, Department of Public Health and Environment. Before I even go further into the SOPs that we have, the main reason as to why all this is happening, as to why the tourism sector and all the order of business is disorganized worldwide is because of coronavirus. I know we all know about the statistics. We all know about the countries which have been affected. To me, I see this discussion very important one because Corona in itself is a tourist. It has toured so many other countries, however, with devastating effects that we have noted. Maybe just to bring into perspective some of the highlights of this virus in Uganda as a country. As we are all aware, Currently, Uganda has 1,051 cases which have been confirmed in the country. And of that, we have a number of recoveries as well. That is 1,014 recoveries in the country. And as of today, the country hasn't registered any death due to coronavirus. As you're all aware, as to the global statistics of having death due to coronavirus coming close to 600,000 people dying due to coronavirus. So this brings me into perspective into some of the measures health and the country as a whole has put in place to ensure that the spread of this virus is curbed, is reduced. As we're all aware, there have been presidential directives that have been set up. You see the curfew hours that are still on up to now, and also the testing initiatives that have been put in place. Very important to curb the spread of this virus. Of course, the tourism sector being very unique in this case, because if you look at tourism, it brings people from very many localities, very many places, meeting. For example, Uganda receives tourists from Belgium, from the US, and from many other countries. And as we're all aware, getting to know these statistics is very important to know which countries are most hit with the virus, so that when they come into the country, we are able to deal with them appropriately. Like Timothy has mentioned before, the Uganda Tourism Board uh, of wildlife, tourism, and antiquities have set out guidelines, very comprehensive guidelines to guide the operations of the tourism sector. And for us to be able to move forward with tourism, these SOPs need to be followed, need to be adhered to. However, the key point here is how can we have these SOPs operationalized? If you had an opportunity to look at these SOPs, there are certain requirements that these SOPs will require us or will require the industry to put in place. And this goes in a long way from human resources. There are certain equipment that we should have. There are certain chemicals that we should procure, and also the modus operandi of how we work is affected in this standard operating procedure that has been put out by the Ministry of Health. As we're all aware, in the tourism industry, these SOPs that we have by the Uganda Tourism Board and Ministry of Wildlife and Antiquities, these are only SOPs that have been put in addition to the already existing standard operating procedures and directives that have been put up by the Ministry of Health. The SOPs that are unique, very unique to this industry of tourism, and then hospitality. So a number of things here. One, if you had an opportunity, the most important items that we have in these standard operating procedures, and the first that was mentioned was the aspect of social distancing, which has been amplified in this standard operating procedure. We all know that if you're hosting someone from a different country, there are certain things that we normally do. We shake hands, sometimes we hug people, to welcome them. You carry their luggage, but then due to this current situation, this will change because social distancing has been shown to reduce significantly the spread of this virus. Of course, in addition to other strategies that have been put up in these SOPs. So this will require a number of things that will happen. How you welcome the guests to your vehicle, how you welcome them to your lobby, how you welcome them to your hotel rooms will have to change to maintain the aspect of social distancing. And The recommendation that has been given here was that we keep a distance of 1 meter apart from each other. For example, if you're in a hotel and the sitting arrangement should be in such a way that the next person sits about 1 meter away from the other. Now, 1 meter away may come into your mind. Should they have a tape measure all the time to measure this distance that has been given to me? No, I think there are certain things that we can operationalize and be able to practically put in place. For example, 1 meter in estimation is a distance between your fingertips when you stretch your arms apart. For example, if you stretch your arms wide, the distance in between the tip of your fingers is approximately that 1 meter distance that we should keep in place in order to curb down this coronavirus. Of course, in addition to that, in addition to the social distance strategy that has been put up, we need to ensure that even in our hotel rooms or hotel that we have, restaurants, or in our tourist vehicles that we have to be transporting people, this has to be adhered to as well. Another important aspect that I want us to understand is the aspect of hand hygiene. Hand hygiene comes in very pertinently because of the facts that we already know about the virus. We also are aware that the coronavirus is majorly spread through droplets, and it can actually survive on surfaces. Emerging evidence we have now that the virus, there is some evidence of it being spread through air, being airborne. So this shows the level of contagion that this virus has. So looking at the aspect of hand hygiene, there are very many aspects that we need to put in place to ensure that hand hygiene is maintained. For example, the aspect of hand washing with clean water and soap is a very important strategy that has been put in place to enable us curb the spread of this virus. So this will ensure that we, as tour operators, need to ensure that you have facilities that have running water in your facilities, that have detergent, that is soap, at your facilities as well. And also, very important to notice the aspect of having hand sanitizers. We have in a market alcohol-based sanitizers that have been shown to be effective in killing this virus. Very important. We have the soft parts of the body that normally touch most times the eye, the mouth, and the nose. That are potentially areas that we can that can transmit the virus from one person to another. So what does this mean? So as operators, this will mean that you need to ensure that the procurement of some of these items affected. We have portable hand sanitizers and the ones that are stationary at your bench tops in your cars to ensure that the clients that we serve, the tourists that are coming in are served, maintain hand hygiene. This is a very important fact. And so what does this mean? That means that on top of all the other costs of operation that you're going to incur, you need to have all these other amenities in your facilities. And also very important to allude is the fact that we as operators, you need to have your internal guidelines or response committees within your operations, either in a transport sector, accommodation, and hotel. There should be response teams that are set up to respond to any incidences that occur within your premises regarding coronavirus, or if you receive a client who could be having symptoms of this virus, or someone reporting in that they are sick, there should be clearly set out strategies and guidelines by the operators to ensure that this this comes into place. Another aspect of the SOP that I want to share is having all the staff and the operators trained on these aspects. For example, you need to know that if I am a hotelier, if I am a waitress or a waiter in a given restaurant, in a hotel, I'm a driver, and I need to know all the symptoms of this virus to protect me and my client. That if I develop the symptoms, I have a reporting line where I can report, and then I am given assistance as per the guidelines that have been set out by the Ministry of Health. Also, with these standard operating procedures, if you look into it again, you'll find that the aspect of communication has been set out very clearly, that constant communication to the clients is very important. We all know that we need to wear masks sometimes. We know to wash our hands, but we need to be reminded. So as operators, it is important that the communication flow is very important, that the reception areas or the receptionists or our agents constantly communicate these strategies to the visitors and to the clients that come on board, to be reminded to adhere to the guidelines that have been set up. This is very important. Also, the SOPs set on the fact that we need to have stakeholder engagement. Of course, as the tourism sector, you need to work with the health sector. So it means that if you're a tour operator or if you're a hotel, you have ambulance services that you have that you need to use in case a situation arises from your operations. And then, of course, if you operate a stationary facility like a hotel, you need to have accredited facilities that you can respond to or admit clients to in case of an incident in your facility or in case of a case that is suspected within your operations. Very important to note also in these SOPs that have been set up. Another aspect that I would like to share is the aspect of constant monitoring and supervision of the guidelines that have been set up. It's very important to note that when the guidelines are set up, it is only natural that people will follow them for the first few days, and then after they forget. So the aspect of communication is very important, and the aspect of having checklists to see that on a given day, have we had our surfaces cleaned up? Have we had our hands washed? Do our operators all have face masks, which are used correctly? Also very, very important. Something I didn't mention before was that under communication, there are very many modes of communication that we can explore, including having our staff or our operators communicate to clients, or having talking walls. There are some of these messages by Ministry of Health that are all over the place. We can have these in our vehicles, we can have them at our facilities, in our hotels, our restaurants, just to remind us on some of the key aspects of infection prevention and control in our facilities. Of course, it also brings in point the aspect that we should minimize contacts as much as possible when you can. Ensure that surfaces are cleaned regularly, and also where you can, avoid touching money or credit cards or key or keypads for the hotel rooms. Very important here is that we need to come up with strategies and be innovative. For example, to avoid as much as possible the aspect of using cash as a mode of payment, and adopt electronic payments. Okay, you can use mobile. In Uganda, we have mobile money platforms that we can use to make payments and minimize hand-to-hand transfer and exchange of money. Very important. Also, in situations where we use cards, it's very important that sanitizer after every transaction. Of course, as set out in the guideline, it is clear that these operators need to have, or the receptionists need to have gloves which are disposable, and these disposable gloves can only be used for each transaction. You use one pair of gloves. So also this puts a burden on the gloves that we need to have this effected. Another key point that came out in the SOP was the recommendation for the face protection, especially for receptionists or people who interface with guests so frequently. It's recommended that on top of having the face mask, we have the face shield to protect these receptionists and our individuals and guides who interface with our clients. Of course, if you talk about tourism, it involves movements into places, and also it puts into place getting client information, complete detailing of a client who comes to our facility. For example, the country of origin is very important. Some of the clients we shall receive actually may come from countries where the disease is very sporadic, and then it should give you a high index of suspicion on how to handle this particular client. Of course, there are guidelines that are supposed to be followed on how to handle a client who you suspect or who reports symptoms to protect their confidentiality. Because if someone came in and just go and say, oh, so and so has corona, that isn't professional. So those guidelines are also being put in place on how to report to maintain the confidentiality of a given client. Then the aspect of time has also been emphasized. Their time of arrival into the country is very important to put into place the incubation period of this coronavirus. Also important to note is where they have been previously upon arrival into the country, that in case they develop symptoms similar to that of coronavirus, it is easy for us to actually embark on contact tracing of some of these clients. So I know I have said a lot of things, that most of them are into the SOPs that are available online. I'll just highlight some of the key aspects that we need to take note of. Of course, this puts into place a strain on all of us, that we need to have resources or human resources. You need to have resources in terms of equipment that are necessary to ensure that the spread is reduced. We also need to put in place innovative measures on how to transact business, the tourism industry. Yes. So thank you very much. Those were the few things I thought I would share with you. Of course, I am sure other things will come up in the discussion time.
Right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. That was quite a thorough presentation. Yes. Now, for the interest of time, because we still have a lot to discuss, so I'll be giving each participant about 2 minutes to make a presentation. Now, on our agenda, we had wanted to briefly talk about the challenges facing us as local tour operators. However, I was of the view that, moving post-COVID, we as tour operators now, back of my mind, I know that the tourists, the ones who out of Uganda, are going to take time to come in. So I asked myself now, why can't we focus on the local tourists now on board? So I wanted us to look at the factors really. Why can't we get local tourists on board here? So I'm looking at the challenges facing us operators in attracting the local tourists. So maybe I'll give my colleague Ken a chance to walk us through some of the challenges we are facing as local tour operators in regard to getting the local tourists on board. Thank you. Kenneth, over to you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kenneth.
Okay, thank you very much. Your Excellency, Rudy, the moderators and the my fellow operators and the rest, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Rudy, I'm glad to meet you here, and I've been serving many of my clients from Belgium, and have been actually happy to visit Uganda. So it's my pleasure. The challenges, we've got many challenges. His Excellency Rudy discussed some of them, and I think I'll not be going much into them. But one of the challenges I would like to issue out is the marketing. We've got the challenge of marketing. When we're marketing, when you go on the social media, for example, you find that even a student who has been at a university, or maybe someone who just joined the university yesterday, wants to start a tour company, wants to start marketing Uganda. So you find they're mispressing the information, and then you find the information they are putting on the social media marketing Uganda is wrong, and then we end up giving wrong information to people who would visit Uganda. We at the end we confuse them. So it's a bit challenging, but that is I think UTB's responsibility, because they regulate the marketing and then the quality assurance in tourism. But unfortunately, they didn't make it to come to meet us on the Zoom. But I hope we shall talk to them in time, and then they have to work out on that. And then local tourism. Local tourism is still a big challenge, as you find that most of the Ugandans are not willing to pay the money to go in the national parks. If first of all, if you look at the hotels, accommodation itself is really very expensive. If you went to Makshoni Falls, for example, if you went to Makshoni Falls, once you are entering Makshoni Falls, you will not have a chance to stay. For example, if you went to Queen Elizabeth, you can maybe go and stay somewhere in the center, whereby you can get accommodation of 20,000, 50,000, and then in the morning wake up and go and do the activities like the game drive, boat cruise, and others. But for example, Makshoni Falls, once you enter the Makshoni Falls, for example, from the main gate or from Masindi town to Makshoni Falls is a bit bigger distance, where you have to drive for over an hour. And then you wonder someone getting an accommodation for Ugandan. The accommodation is over 150, 250,000 Uganda shillings, 380, 400, even 500. So you wonder how a Ugandan is going to be willing to pay that money, because if you put a trip of let's say 500,000 to Makshoni Falls National Park, you get few people who are going to be interested. But I think still UTB would address that, because I'm sure we get many Ugandans who travel out of Uganda. They go and have their tours in Tanzania, in Kenya, Dubai, and other countries. So it's now the responsibility of us together with the UTB to talk to Ugandans, to really make Ugandans love their country. And we've been fighting for this, but it's still challenging us. It's still a big challenge, because people are not willing to go and spend the money in Uganda. They want to go out of Uganda. Mr. Akbua from KCCA said, was talking of the SOPs. I think tourism is most easiest to regulate when it comes to COVID-19, because we're not congested. Let's say when you're traveling to parks, when you're having the activities. For example, if you went to town in Kampala, you find some of the arcades are open, people are congested, there are very many. But whereas a tourist who is coming to Uganda, it's easier, because you go and meet a tourist at the airport, you receive them, of course, following the go. You don't go and mix with other people in the city, in the town, because we follow we just drive on the road, then we go to our touristic destination. So I think it's easier for us in tourism to follow the standard operating procedures, because we're not going to be congested. It's not a market, it's not a church, it's very easy. So I think it's high time we operators, we worked with the UTB and the other authorities, and the tourism, I think very soon can be opened. For the airport can be opened for the tourists, and then they start coming to Uganda. Social distancing can easily be respected, can easily be put into consideration, and then you find it's much easier and we are more safe. And then another thing, Mr. Akibua from KCCA, I'm not sure how you've been also working with UTB, because we find that in most cases UTB is fighting to see that as they talk to the Minister of Health, they get everything done so that they can open up the tourism in Uganda. I'm not sure of how you've been thinking about it, or what you've been doing about in as far as tourism in Kampala is concerned, because we've got many tourism sites, but maybe they may not open now, because we have Kampala is very busy. Many people are coming to Kampala, are doing businesses, so it may not be easy for us to to open up the tourism in Kampala. But other parks, it's easy to open because once I get my clients from the airport, I brief them, we travel, we start a journey, then you go up to the national park. Then I think that one will be more safe, and it's easy to open. Still, on the challenges, tour operators, in most cases, we've not been given a chance to give our reviews as tour operators to the authorities. For example, recently the Minister of Health, Minister of Tourism, has released some discounts they are giving to tour operators. But when you look at them, you find only the big companies have been given a favor. For example, they said when you buy 30 gorilla tracking permits, you're given 2 free gorilla tracking permits. Then I was asking myself, how many tour companies in Uganda are going to be affording buying 30 gorilla tracking permits at once? So I think since we've not got a chance to get UTB staff here, but if we get a chance of talking to them, it's something to address, because tour operators some of the tour operators are not given a chance to give them their reviews, the challenges, so that they can work out the challenges together with the authorities, so that you can, because when we have in marketing, you find people marketing Uganda are not even they're not even given the information. UTB doesn't give them information, UA doesn't give them information. I wish if they came out and then they start with the tour operators, they give the guidelines of how to be marketing, because you find if I wake up in the morning, I start looking for what to post on the social media, on the Facebook, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and other platforms to see if I can attract clients or the tourists. In most cases, we are doing it for our own sake, for our own benefit, because when we host these clients, we are the ones making the profits. Though we are also benefiting the country, we are making the profits for our survival. But still, if this information was being regulated by the UTB and other authorities like Uganda Wildlife Authority, it will be much better. You find things are moving in the line. Then you find what we are marketing is real, and then people are not confused. Because if someone went to social media and found a gorilla tracking post is put on the social media, is talking about Mugahinga, and in the morning the same person went to social media finds a post is talking about gorilla tracking in Action Falls, this person is going to be confused automatically. So the marketing, we have to be working together with UTB and other authorities. We see that marketing has been put in place. I think UTB, if someone can be hearing us or watching us, let them also work out on through that. Then we see how we can get tourism much better in the future. Then also the tour guides. Tour guides have not got the clear training in as far as serving is concerned. So you find we've not got the real knowledge of how to handle the tourists, so that when the tourists come to Uganda, you're serving them and then you end up disappointing them, giving them false information, giving them poor services and others. And still on that, the hotel owners, the hoteliers, when you went to the hotels, I think they also have to work on the services. Sometimes we find it's challenging when you go to the national parks. You find you take your client, you serve the client well, given the guiding service very well, but when you reach at the hotel, you find our hotel service is somehow not pleasing, really somehow poor. So it's also going to be making a service much poor. So local tourism will be, I think, will be much helping us. But to my thinking, people in Uganda are not willing to travel. But it's us with the hotels. I see we have the hotelier here. You see it as hotels, then you see how you can reduce the prices. Then because when we are going to the parks, we are first looking at the accommodation. Once you have better accommodation, then the safari is also good. So when you minimize the prices for accommodations, it's going to be very okay for us, because we shall also be charging less money when you are taking the tourists, the Ugandan tourists, to visit these places. So for the interest of time, I will not talk much. I'll hand over the microphone to the moderator, then we can proceed. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Kenny. Yeah, you had quite a number of topics you've raised, and in the interest of time, I'll give an opportunity to Priscilla. Priscilla is a hotelier, or she's representing a hotel. Maybe she could give us your perspective as a hotelier, really. because
Excellent. Rudy.
If I may, very briefly, sorry to interrupt here, but
okay.
I told you that I have to go at 12:30. My time has come, so I have another meeting coming up. Thank you very much for hosting me here. It was a great opportunity for all of you. And I think that as soon as the circumstances permit, we should meet in a personal meeting with some of us. I can always offer a meeting room at the embassy if you need that, or we can meet at any other place in Kampala. It would be great to have the occasion to exchange more personally, because this works nicely, but it is still a virtual meeting. So I'm always available for you if you think that is a good idea and that the timing is right. But for now, I'm sorry I have to leave you. So thank you again for inviting me. It was a great privilege to be with you today, and I hope to meet again soon.
All right, thank you to Mr. Ambassador, and we shall be in touch. Thank you. All right, so Priscilla, I'll give you a chance maybe to come and make some few comments. Yes, Priscilla.
Okay. Okay, hi everybody. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Priscilla.
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay, cool. First of all, thank you to everyone who has spoken already. You've covered a lot of ground. Some of you have actually even spoken about the hotel sector. So I'm just going to be a bit brief. One thing that we should all know is that this situation is not going away anytime soon. Corona is here with us for a while. So what we need to know is how do we adjust ourselves to the new normal? I say the new normal because there are things that are going to be, that are being put in place now that are not going to change. The social distancing, the washing of hands, and these are not necessarily a bad thing because, first of all, the increased hygiene that this situation has caused all hotels and all of us to get into is definitely a plus. So as Mbora Farm Lodge, of course, we are definitely ready. We adopted our own SOPs, pulling from the main ones that were given and adapted them to our own setting. Something else that is going to be seen and that is being seen in the hotel section is that the lodges are being preferred to hotels. Why do I say that? Lodges have more space. They already have the provision for social distancing. So even in future, what I see is that we're going to have more of such things coming up. So definitely we're ready. We're open for guests and we've been ready, and most hotels are open, the ones that have managed to put the SOPs in place. Actually, officials have been moving around and ensuring that the hotels and lodges have these SOPs in place, which is a good thing. So now before we open up, of course, Kenneth was speaking about domestic tourism. As lodges, as hotels, definitely we've had to rethink some of our pricing to try and adjust to the local market. But whatever adjustment is done still has to be viable, yes, and affordable. So yes, reductions have been made, but it cannot be to an extent that would also hurt the hotel. So yes, across board, I've seen so many properties reducing their prices and getting ready for Ugandans. So yes, we are responsive. And secondly, I also believe that there is market within the Ugandans, because from the time we opened up again and across, you see Ugandans are already starting to move. So what we need to do is speak their language. They don't know what is out there. As tour operators, as hotels, maybe we've been concentrating on marketing internationally more than locally. And this is now coming back to bite us, so to speak. So we need to talk to the Ugandans and tell them what we have out there. They do not know what we have. They do not know the beauty that is out there. And they do not know that it is actually affordable. Because you'll ask someone about entering a park and they're like, if you tell them it's 15,000 to enter a park, and this is something that they did not know. Again, we've not spoken to them. The media has done their part. I'm happy to see Jennifer there. media has done their part. We need to support them as tour operators, as hotels. Let's flood social media. Let's flood all avenues that we can with a message to not only Ugandans, but anyone who is resident here. I'm happy the ambassador has left, but I'm happy about his keenness. He seems to be very passionate about Uganda, and he's only made a year. If we could have more of such people, because this means that he's definitely our ambassador out there. And of course, being the ambassador to to Uganda from Belgium, he's automatically with the European Union ambassadors. They have an association. So that means that if his passion can translate to them, then we are moving in the right direction. So even before we have flights opening and everything, let us speak to the ambassadors who are here. Let's engage them more. And Timothy, I thank you for that. Let's engage them more and then if we have them, because right now they're here and they cannot go anywhere. So this is our time to take them around, let them see Uganda for what it is. And then by the time we're opening up, they will be marketing for us all over the place. So basically, I think that's what I am going to say. I really still can't emphasize enough that we've got to change our mindsets and adjust to this new normal that we have. And then once we do that, we cannot continue to do things in the old way that we were doing them. Our marketing has to change. Our product development has to change, all to adapt to the new situation. So thanks again, Timothy. Thank you to all the panelists. And I think that's my submission for now.
All right. Thank you, Priscilla. Yeah, welcome back, Jennifer. I think we had lost you, maybe because of network. So maybe let me just invite the next presenter, and maybe then you'll take over from there. So I'm coming over to you, Mildred. Now, Mildred, you'll find that the media has a key role they play, because you'll find that one of the reasons why the local tourism isn't picking that on board is because of there's the issue of misinformation with it. Now, there's the lack of information, one, that people don't know with the locals. We don't know the different tourist attractions that are available in Uganda here. So there is the lack of information, but then there's also the issue of the misinformation. You'll find that Ken raised this somewhere up that someone would post something, but again you find that the information there is not authentic. So you as the media, really, what do you think you can do to increase the information, but also to work on the issue of the misinformation?
All right, thank you so much, Timothy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, for purposes of reintroducing myself, those of you that joined late, my name is Mildred, and I work for radio and TV, specifically Kampala FM and Now TV. Now, thank you so much for your contribution, all the panelists, and of course, the most thing that you people have been talking about is marketing and promotion of the local tourism. And in regards to what you asked me, Timothy, about how we can make known the different, tourist sites that we have in the country. I think there is media, first of all, is the biggest platform for marketing and, of course, putting the product out there and getting people to get to know what is in our country. So, and then there are different forms of marketing. We can utilize the different media houses that we have across. We actually have very many in Kampala and outside, the Kampala in the different districts. So if we could have different personnel from the sector getting onto the media houses and of course talking about this, this would also bring information and knowledge to the people to get to know exactly what we have in the country. Then also there is we all know we are in an era of social media, yes? Social media is having over 1 million, subscribers. And if we make so much noise on social media, this could actually push for the product and also getting people to realize what product we have in Uganda. And also for the hard to reach areas that may not, access social media and everything, like I said, there are radio stations. At least we have people to visit those places and of course get to talk about the beauty. I like how Priscilla put it, the beauty in our country. And then there is one thing that we also need to focus on, documentaries. If we could come up with documentaries of the different, sites that we have in the country, and we get them played on the different media platforms. And I'm also asking you, Timothy, if the different organizations and stakeholders in the industry could actually work closely and hand in hand with the media houses, I don't think there would be a problem with the marketing. Yes, and then also promotion of local tourism. If we could actually, I don't know if there is a tourism boards or any tourism organizations in these local places, let's say up country in districts, to help people understand it. And then also in regards to the misinformation, I was going to talk about that broadcasting. We as the media also have a role to play in keeping within the minimum broadcasting standards. And for that issue, if each sector, let's say if sector or each tour company or travel agency could come up with a verified page, a verified Facebook page, Twitter handle, Instagram, and you share all your information there, I do not think there will be an issue of misinformation. And also time to time visiting these different media houses to get to speak about the different things that are going on in the industry would make a whole lot of sense. Yes, unless if there is something else that you want me to add on. And also maybe one thing that I think would actually help improve the tourism sector is, you realize we had the emergence of the new cities that were carved out. So if we could actually make the use of these new cities, it would also help us somehow grow in the tourism industry. Then also another important thing we need to understand is that the industry is entirely dependent on the conservation of the natural resources rather than their extraction, I beg your pardon. Thereby, if you use the different media platforms to create this awareness, it would actually probably strengthen the industry. And of course, getting airtime and advertising on the media avenues, and also sponsorship for us who have shows and programs on TV or radio. If you come on board as a sponsorship, this also could help spread the news and the information to the people of this country. Yes, that is what I had in brief.
Yes, thank you, Mildred, for that presentation. I'll give back to you, Jennifer. You can take over from there.
Thank you so much, Timothy, for standing in for me. Kampala, for those of you who are in Kampala, apparently, what happened today? I think network is bad because of the rain. So thank you so much, participants, for the insights. Priscilla Butajira from Embura. People love to visit the Embura farm lot, but what they are concerned with are the charges. Maybe think that you've lost a lot in this COVID-19 pandemic period, but what have you done to promote local tourism? Let's first put aside international tourism. Embra, I'm not trying to attack you, but I would like some clarification. I got some question from one of the persons that saw us trying to advertise for this webinar. Thank you, Priscilla.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I would like to say, as I had mentioned earlier, I don't know whether you were here, that yes, indeed, we have come down on our prices. I would like to emphasize one thing. Embura is a luxury lodge. So as I said earlier, as much as we're considering coming down on prices or anything or services, and this is across board, it has to be viable, and then you look at the affordability also. So we've come down by 20%. We did have a price before for East African residents of $150 for 2 people on full board, which means your meals are included. And this was a good rate as well. we've come down 20% on that now. So for a night at 460,000, 2 people can stay and have all their meals, which I think is fair because we don't want to compromise on service, but we still want to get some people. The response has been good. It has been really good when we did this reduction and promotion, which we are trying for a while. So yes, we are going to put it out there some more. As I said, this was a well thought out discount, taking into account what we have to offer. And it's been well received, and we hope that the people who have been fearing our quotation in dollars, now we're talking in shillings, first of all, which I think all hotels should do. I've always said that. I've always said we need to talk to Ugandans in a currency that they earn. So yes, we have our new on our website and on our social media pages. We've been running the promotion, and this will go on for a while because yes, we do want people to come and experience that life on the farm in luxury. So Jennifer, that's an answer to your question specifically on pricing.
Thank you. Maybe Kenneth would like to add on something. I can see he's raising up his arm.
Okay, thank you. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Mildred talked of documentaries, but me, my thinking is that documentaries are going to be expensive for someone who has been in the industry for like 1 to 4 years, maybe, because in most cases, people are joining tourism without maybe putting much money, but maybe putting the much knowledge they have and then research they make about the tourism. So documentaries are helping much, but that one would be the responsibility of the UTB to provide them with us with that information so that you can. For us, we are there to post the information to social media, to call the tourists, to send the information to tourists. So people only lack the information. Otherwise, if these documentaries were made, for us, we are there to share, and then you can attract the tourists. Then on the marketing, Priscilla talked of the rates. Actually, Priscilla, you share with me I'll share with them email. Then you can also send me the quotes, the prices you have before I leave. And then for the tour operators and the hotels, I think it's the time. It's high time we started working together because I've seen it working out in the way that when a tour operator, I get to your hotel, I get the rates, I get the pictures, I post your hotel on the social media platforms, on my website. Then you as well can get my brochures, and then you post them on the reception, and then also share my information about on the website. Like we work together. I market you, you market me. I don't pay you, you don't pay me. I give you clients, you give me clients. But some people have not realized that this has worked for many. So if we work together, like we market each other, I think it will be much better for us to get the market, and then you can get into the business. So thank you very much. I hand over the microphone back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you so much, Kenneth, for your input, and Priscilla. I would like to ask another. Hello, any other person would like to add on something before we proceed?
Oh,
Mildred,
yes.
would you like to respond?
Oh, yes, I would like to respond to Kenneth a little bit concerning the marketing issue. You will see that we are highly competing with our neighboring countries, that is Rwanda, Tanzania, Nairobi, Kenya, and you'll realize actually we are selling the same product with them. But then, like His Excellency Rudy said, that our country is not known to those people, and you may find that. Known to the tourists, you may find that these people or our neighboring countries are actually, what is so special about them that they get to be known? What is it that they are doing that we are not doing right? It might be their marketing strategies, or their service deliveries and all of that. So if we are to look into this, and even if it means putting in a lot, we need to come out of our comfort zone, to get back the tourism industry that we once had. So even if it means the documentaries, going a bit overboard, I think we would do that just for the sake of ensuring that we get back to the top. And yes, moderator, that is what I had to add on.
Thank you so much, Mildred. Timothy,
Yes.
what would you add there as one of the people who has been in the system for some time? Maybe if you have something you would like to add on that.
Yes.
Because your
Now,
time
Yes, now it's unfortunate that we're not able to get someone from UTB or from the government side, because we really have a thorough discussion. Because at times it's not fair to allege something when someone is not there to defend it. But however, I would say that our marketing is lacking, and I think that UTB has a lot to do. I'll give you an example. If you look at Kenya, if you look at Tanzania, they have trade fairs. They have in Kenya. They have, I think it's called Karibiani. Then they also have a trade fair in Tanzania. Now those trade fairs really work for them. For us in Uganda here, it has completely failed to work out for us. So I think that our marketing it's still really lacking. We still need to do a lot more in terms of marketing there. So I think that it would be much better to have someone maybe in our next meeting. We could consider having someone from UTB on board. I engage them a lot. So, but then they told me that at the moment they are engaging other stakeholders on board so that they can come up with something conclusive. So maybe in our next meeting or in our meetings moving forward, it will be good to have them on board and then see what they say. So maybe I can say that for now. But maybe in the interest of time, I think because we're supposed to stop in at I think at 1 p.m. So maybe moderator, you could give each person a chance to maybe make final remarks, and then maybe you can conclude it.
Okay, thank you so much, Timothy. I would like to give each and every participant like 2 minutes to sum up and add on anything that we've not talked about in this webinar. Madam Priscilla.
Okay. First of all, Timothy, thank you for bringing us together for this. I must say we have engaged much more. We've learned how to engage with each other much more during this time. That has been a plus because we've all had time to realize that we need each other. There's nothing that cannot be achieved if we work together. Yes, there are still so many gaps in marketing. UTB, I'm sure, has also had to rethink their way of marketing. They had not thought about domestic very actively. But let's keep the conversations going. Let's speak to our own countrymen and really show them what we have, because the best marketeers we can ever have are every one of us. So let's keep talking. Let's keep engaging, and I'm sure with that we can achieve a lot. But thank you so much, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Kenneth?
Thank you very much, members. Thank you, Timothy, for the good arrangements you've done, and Jennifer. It has been so nice for both of us. I think this is the time we have to be doing all this, and then we review our ways of marketing, our ways of the service. We look at what we've not yet done. We talk to our clients. We see how they are doing. We really find out from them how we've been giving them the service, what we could increase. We visit our websites, our sites. We see what we have to really improve on. Then at the end of the time, we shall get everything on board. I'm sure this is not going to be permanent. Even me myself, I'm very confident. The person who was really fearing that we are going down, but at this time, from the conversations that we've been having for a number of times, I'm really confident that some things are going to be fine very, very soon. So let's keep our hopes alive, and we keep finding about how we can market our businesses, our Uganda, how best we can work together. Then at the end of the time, we shall have everything done. Thank you so much. I salute you all. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the information. And let's keep in touch. Let's keep it up. We shall be the winners tomorrow.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Yes, thank you so much, the panelists, the moderator, and of course, Timothy, for organizing a thing as this. Now, in the media, I'm actually very glad to be out of this, because we talk about different things on radio, on TV, and then we just bypass the tourism sector.
Mildred?
Yes, can you hear me?
I think we've
Yes, I can hear you.
Can we show a tours and travel? Okay, Mildred, in 1 minute, your last remarks.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear me, Edward. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. I was thanking you, the moderator, and of course the panelists for such an opportunity. And as I was saying, that we work in the media and radio and TV, and of course we talk about different things, and we just bypass, the tourism industry. So it is a very good, big privilege for me to get to realize that the tourism industry has certain issues to address. And of course, if we work together, we could actually address most of these issues. Thank you once again, Timothy, and thank you and everyone for that opportunity.
Yes,
Hello,
Jennifer.
I'm done.
Yes, Jennifer.
Yes, Timothy, your last remarks as we wind up. We are only remaining with 2 minutes.
All right. For me, I would like to thank each one of you for making time. For some of you, it has been on short notice, but thank you very much for all your inputs. I think for some of us, like the tour operators, like for example, me, Ken, Priscilla, we need to keep more engaged. I think we need to engage more the UTB. We need to engage more the embassies and the other stakeholders, because for us, we're in it. So we need to find a solution, and I think we are much stronger moving together. So I think we shall keep in touch, and then we see how to engage the key stakeholders. But I think our conversation is not yet complete until we have like someone from UTB on board, until we have all the key stakeholders on board. So thank you very much for your time, and I wish you a nice weekend. Thank you. Back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, members. Thank you so much, Timothy, for the opportunity. I'm so happy. I'm so happy because I love tourism myself. I love tourism. I love traveling. Now, if at all I hear some of the stakeholders coming for any meeting to discuss such a thing, I become so. Even Kenneth knows me. I love traveling a lot, and I look forward to visiting Embrara. The fact that now the prices are lower. Yes, thank you. And on that matter, I would like to say thank you, Timothy, for the opportunity and everyone, and wishing you a good weekend.
Have a good weekend too.
All right, thank you too.
Douglas,